In the heart of Texas, where the sun blazes hotter than a branding iron and the land stretches wide as a cowboy's dreams, my family's ranch stood as a testament to generations of sweat and stubborn pride. I'm Jake Larson, and that ranch passed down from my granddad to my dad, and now to you isn't just dirt and grass. It was my blood, my legacy, every fence post a story carved into my soul. But last spring, that legacy got trampled by the kind of arrogance only a fancy homeowners association could muster. They thought they could string a high-voltage power line right through my prime grazing pasture. No permission, no payment, not even a handshake. They learned the hard way. You don't mess with a Texan's land. This is the story of how I turned their lights a flitterally and made them sweat under the scorching sun until they begged for mercy. It all started with a rumble that didn't belong. I was out on my ATV, checking fences under a pale morning sky, when I heard the growl of heavy machinery, like a swarm of angry bees coming from my northeast pasture. That's not near the property line. It's a quarter-mile deep into my land, bordering the shiny new Crestwood Pines estates, a luxury development that had been creeping closer over the years. I'd dealt with their construction noise before, but this was different. My gut twisted as I gunned the engine and crested a rise. There it was, a crew of contractors tearing a wide scar across my pasture, laying thick black conduit, with stark metal power poles looming like invaders. My heart pounded, rage clawing on my throat. I skidded to a stop, dust choking the air, and roared, "What the hell are you doing on my land?" The foreman, a guy named Hank with a sweat-soaked hard hat, barely flinched. "Just following orders, buddy," he drawled, while VYing toward the development. "Running power for the new section. Got the easement right here." He patted a binder like it was gospel. "Easement?" I nearly laughed. "This is private property. There's no easement. You're trespassing, and you're tearing up my pasture. Shut it down now." Hank sighed like I was a fly buzzing his lunch. "Look, pal, the paperwork's from Crestwood Pines HOA. Talk to their boss, Ms. Evelyn Harper. We just dig where they point." He shoved a map at me, showing the power line's path slicing through my land. No signature, no county seal, just the developer's fantasy scribbled on paper. I told him it was worthless and demanded they pack up. He shrugged and turned back to his crew. "Schedule's tight. Take it up with Evelyn." Evelyn Harper. The name rang like a warning bell. Neighbors had whispered about her. The new HOA president, a city slicker with no clue about rural life and a knack for steamrolling anyone in her way. I raced back to the ranch house, my mind spinning. Did they think I wouldn't notice? Or worse, that I wouldn't fight? Getting Evelyn on the phone was like chasing a ghost 2 days of voicemails, gatekeepers, and empty promises before her clipped, icy voice finally answered. "Mr. Larson," she said, my name sounding like dirt on her shoe, "there's some confusion about the utility corridor." I laid it out. My land, my deeds, no easement, her contractors trespassing. She didn't miss a beat. Our developer, Pinnacle Homes, assured us all permissions were secured. "Perhaps you forgot signing something." The nerve insinuating I was some forgetful hickset, my blood boiling. I told her my family had owned this land for decades, and nobody signed a damn thing. "Your crew's breaking the law. Get them off my property." She laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "Mr. Larson, Phase 3 needs power. Our residents, important people expect to move in soon. This is critical infrastructure. You clearly don't grasp modern development." Her condescension was a slap. "The only thing I grasp," I shot back, "is that you're illegally digging up my land. Remove the line, or I'm suing you, Pinnacle Homes, and your contractors." She paused, then said coolly, "Do what you must. Our legal team handles these little disputes." Click. The line went dead, and I stood there, fury simmering, knowing they thought their money and lawyers made them untouchable. They just poked a sleeping bear. I called my lawyer, Tom Reed, a sharp Austin attorney who knew Texas property law like I knew my ranch. He listened as I spilled the story Hank's fake easement, Evelyn's dismissal, the scar across my pasture. Classic developer playbook, Tom sighed. They budget for lawsuits, betting landowners cave or settle cheap. He confirmed they were trespassing without a signed easement and drafted cease and desist letters for Evelyn, Pinnacle Homes, and Hank's crew, demanding they stop work, remove equipment, and restore my land within 10 days. Meanwhile, I turned detective, driving the ranch perimeter, snapping photos of the poles, trenches, and cables, even flying my drone for aerial proof of their brazen incursion. This wasn't a minor mistake, it was a deliberate cut through my grazing heartland, disrupting my cattle and my peace. The 10 days passed. The contractors didn't stop. They doubled down, setting more poles, digging deeper, as if my letters were kindling. Tom filed the lawsuit against the HOA, Pinnacle Homes, and Hank's company, seeking an injunction, damages, and land restoration. But the courts moved like molasses. The judge denied an immediate restraining order, swayed by Pinnacle's lies about pending easements and the public need for power. Their lawyers painted me as a crank blocking progress, even claiming Evelyn had cordial talks with Maya, bald-faced lie that made my fists clench. The construction roared on, the scar widening, a daily insult to my family's legacy. Neighbors urged me to cut the cables myself, but I knew that'd tank my case. I needed a smarter play. Late one night, poring over county records, I found a crack in their armor. Crestwood Pines Phase 3 wasn't tied to the main grid, too costly, too complex. Instead, Pinnacle had contracted a small outfit, Sunvolt LLC, to build a solar farm and substation on a nearby parcel, feeding the power line on my land. Digging deeper, I learned Sunvolt wasn't owned by the utility or even the Energy Pro VY. It was a shell company run by Pinnacle's own executives, likely a tax dodge or marketing ploy for green energy. This was it, their power source, isolated and vulnerable. If I couldn't stop the line, I could control the juice. My pulse raced. Could I buy their power source? Tom was skeptical. Buying a utility asset? That's a maze regulations, contracts, liabilities. Why would they sell? But I knew developers saw these setups as budget lines, not sacred ground. I hired Lisa, a forensic accountant with a nose for corporate weak spots, to dissect Sunvolt's finances. I also called my old friend Nate, a commercial real estate broker, to snoop on the substation's land. Lisa found Sunvolt was drowning in debt from construction overruns, its revenue tied to a shaky power purchase agreement, PPA, with the HOA. It was barely breaking even, a headache Pinnacle might ditch. Nate heard whispers that Pinnacle was cash-strapped, eyeing a bigger project and possibly open to unloading non-core assets like Sunvolt. The plan was audacious. Buy Sunvolt, own their power, and flip the script. Direct offers would tip them off, so Nate set up a Delaware LLC, Horizon Energy Solutions, to mask my involvement. Lisa estimated Sunvolt's debt. Tom structured the deal. We offered cash to cover the debt plus a sweetener, betting Pinnacle CFO would jump at quick capital. Nate pitched it through back channels, and after a tense week, they bit, countering slightly higher but eager to close fast. By late July, with Texas baking in triple-digit heat, the deal was done. Horizon Energy owned Sunvolt land, solar panels, substation, and the PPA. I held the switch to Crestwood Pines lights, and they didn't even know it. Now came the hammer. The PPA let Sunvolt suspend their VYC for operational necessity, and that a legal power line on my land was a legal landmine. Tom drafted a notice from Horizon Energy to Evelyn, announcing Sunvolt's new ownership and a 48-hour power suspension due to the illegally sited infrastructure on my ranch, citing safety and compliance. We sent it Thursday afternoon, time for a record-breaking heat wave. I pictured Evelyn's face confusion, then panic as she read that her power was about to die. Friday passed in a blur of calls from Evelyn, her voice cracking with desperation. "Jake, this is insane. You can't cut our power, people have health issues." I stayed calm. "Evelyn, your developer built an illegal line on my land. You ignore my warnings. Fix the trespass, and we'll talk power." Pinnacle's lawyers threatened lawsuits, but Tom shut them down. We were within our rights, and they'd built the trap themselves. Saturday, at 10 a.m., my technicians flipped the breakers. The substation went silent. Miles away, Crestwood Pines went dark, no AC, no fans, just the merciless Texas sun. From a ridge on my ranch, I watched those million-dollar homes turn into ovens, their opulence mocked by the heat. Social media erupted with residents' fury, kids sweltering, families fleeing to hotels. Evelyn's voicemails swung from rage to tears. Pinnacle offered settlements, but Tom held firm. Remove the line, restore my land, pay damages, or stay in the dark. By Sunday, with temps hitting 108, the HOA was in chaos. Residents turning on Evelyn, local news sniffing the story. I gave a measured statement. Pinnacle and the HOA built an illegal power line on my ranch. Ignore my warnings, and now their power's off until they fix it. Monday, Pinnacle cracked. Their lawyer called Tom, voice heavy with defeat. What does Jake want? Our terms were ironclad. Remove the line in 24 hours, restore my pasture, pay hefty damages, drop counterclaims, and issue apologies. They signed the deal. Tuesday, crews dismantled the poles, cables vanishing like a bad dream. The scar remained, but my land was mine again. Pinnacle paid up, hired my approved consultant to restore the pasture, and sent stiff apologies. Only then did I negotiate power. The new PPA was brutal higher rates, strict terms, a fat reconnection fee. They grumbled but signed, and a week later, Crestwood Pines lights flickered back on. Evelyn was ousted as HOA president. Pinnacle's reputation took a hit, and my ranch became a legend. Sunvolt turned a profit under the new PPA, and when Pinnacle finally linked to the grid, I sold it for a tidy sum. The fight wasn't just about land, it was about principle. They thought they could bully me. I showed them a rancher's resolve. So what do you think? Was I a hero defending my rights? Or did I go too far? Leah VYing family sweltering to prove a point? Should I have settled earlier? Or was the power play the only way to win? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe. I want to hear your take on this Texas showdown.